Hi everybody, welcome to Sandy Treasures Inc. Today you're watching this project I have going on of the manatees, and this is, I hope to be done by February 22nd because I want to show it off on an event that is happening. It's called Nature Fest, and it's going to be right by the Manatee Center in Fort Pierce. And that's today is February 4th, so I only have a couple weeks to finish this project, and I'm on it. So what's important about this project to be shown on Nature Fest on February 22nd is the environmental awareness aspect that I want to put into this project right here. And I'm not going to tell you what it is because this is a must-see. And I hope you join me because this is everybody's project. Environmental awareness is everybody's project. This is the way I can do it as an artist, by bringing awareness, by showing it in a picture. And right now it's all pretty. I love it. And it's still going to be pretty, but it's going to have a little bit of that environmental awareness aspect to it. And that's why this is so important to watch. Get your friends, get your families. Hopefully they would watch it too. And of course, it doesn't cost you anything to give me a like, subscribe, and hit the notifications if you're enjoying this content. Alrighty, thank you guys so much, and enjoy the show. So here I start off with a blank canvas. I don't even have pencil marks on it or anything. And I know I'm going to paint these two manatees, a mama and a baby. And I start off with oil paints. Now, this wood panel is just sucking up the oil paints, so I have to keep it pretty oily on the parts where I'm actually painting. So at the beginning it looks very rough, but as I keep on going, it actually starts to smooth out and it starts to look better every time. And I am using just the oil paints with linseed oil. So at the beginning I have to put quite a bit of linseed oil onto the parts that I'm actually painting, and I come back and I smooth out the entire section. I'm trying to leave the sections that I'm not painting on untouched with oil or anything because, when I tackle that section, I'll go ahead and oil it up. But at this point, I'm just tackling the manatees, and I can watch the board just almost suck it right in front of my eyes. So got to keep it pretty oily. And by the board being so dry and sucking up my oil so fast, it's actually an advantage in the sense of my oil paints are going to dry way faster than they normally would dry on a canvas, right? So that's important to know if you are trying to do some oil painting on wood. And I like the process where I get to put the oil paint down, do my base, and then let it get tacky. It's actually a lot more pliable, when I let it just sit there for a few minutes. And while it is getting dry on those sections of the manatees, I can go ahead and work on my background for a little while, as you can see right now. And once I have my background pretty much completed, then I start tackling the little details on the manatees. So I'm going for textures and for wrinkles and for shadows, highlights, etc. I'm also closing in the gaps that are in between the background and the manatees. And because this is a painting that I'm making my own composition here. Basically, I'm using reference of the one manatee and reference of the other manatee, but I'm putting them together. So I have to kind of make up what the shadow would look like. And that's one of the things that, I eyeball as best as I can and hope that it works out. At this point, as much as I like to complete the manatees, I can't because it's at that stage. It's so oily that I have to wait for it to get a little tacky or even dry. And I take my whole canvas, I turn it upside down, and I start working the upper portions of this painting because it actually is a lot more comfortable for my arm. I found myself getting really tired of pulling my arm all the way to the top of the project, so therefore turning this around makes it a lot easier to reach. My arm is not going to be as tired. And of course, if you are going to do something like this, remember to turn your reference material upside down as well. Yes, I have seen people where they turn it in a certain direction, but they don't turn the reference material in that certain direction as well. So now instead of looking at, in my case, looking at the manatee, I'm just looking at I'm looking at it objectively. I'm looking at it like its shapes and colors. And I'm guiding myself as, you know, next to this color goes this color, and next to that line goes this color, and like that. I'm basically not looking at like, where is the nose and where is the eye? No, it's everything is kind of like an object now. When it comes to spots like what I'm doing right now, I don't get too particular on that because you know, if it was a human being that I'm trying to get the features, that would be a different story. I would take my time on that. But when it comes to manatees, no, I'm not going to be too concerned about where the spots land, where the wrinkles land exactly. You know, I'll just go ahead and keep on moving at a faster pace by putting it wherever I think it's going to go. I'm not too concerned for this to be identical to my reference material because, you know, I'm actually looking for my painting to be way different than the reference material. So it's okay to have a lot of difference than my reference material. I'm looking for that actually. And that's something that it's a good exercise. And also because of copyrights, you know, I'm not going to imagine what a manatee looks like. I probably will get most of it right, but that's one of the things I still need to have reference because I'm not going to pull it straight out of my head. So I need to have reference. And it's better because of the copyrights to have it way different. You know, the finished project should be way different than the reference material, unless of course it's a commission job and they're looking for accuracy, then that's a different story. An easy way to support a YouTuber if you're enjoying the content is to like it, subscribe, and hit the notifications. And that is how we advance in this YouTube world, of course. And it's at no cost to you, right? And I hope you do help me out with this channel because my goal is to bring a lot more environmental awareness to everybody. You know, I think it's an important subject. And as I move on, you will see more of that environmental awareness aspect into my paintings. Usually you're not going to see it on part 1, but you will see it on part 2, part 3, because usually those are like the final touches of my painting. Except for this part right here where I start painting the scars that manatees will normally get from the propellers of boaters that are going just a little bit too fast in our waterways. And we know manatees cannot swim fast enough to get out of the way. So yes, I have to paint those scars on our beautiful manatees. And I don't know if you guys know this, but it turns out that biologists will actually study these manatees and identify them by their scars. So it's kind of interesting to know that they take such a devastating aspect that these manatees go through and use it to their benefit, you know, to ID them and be able to keep track of how long they live, where they go, if they're given birth, all of these things that are very important. To know their wellness is also to know the wellness of our oceans and our waterways. So at this point, I've worked out most of the manatees, and I turn my canvas upside down once again so I can work this waterline. And yes, I do have reference, but again, I'm not doing it exactly like the reference. I'm making my own style to it, adding my own touches, as you can see. And just in case you're curious, I do have plastic wrapped on my wall behind the painting because it's so easy to flick oil paints right onto my wall, and because they're oil, it would be hard to get that off. And a stain remover, or not a stain remover, a stain blocker would have to be oil base, I think. So just avoid the whole thing by protecting the background area of your paint job or project. And of course, once I'm done with the waterline, of course, I'm going to add some bubbles to this waterline. And I started off with a dark green because I was wondering how this was going to look. And then I said, let me go back to white. That's normally how I do my bubbles. So what I do is I put that white circle there, and then I remove a lot of the white that is inside of the bubble area, just leaving the outline there. And then I come back and add the colors that I want on my bubbles and the highlights. So instead of doing each outline for the bubbles, which is kind of hard to do, I paint the whole bubble, remove what's inside, and come back and dress up my bubble. Now that I'm done with the bubbles, I flip my canvas once again and I stand back. I look at what I did. Am I happy with what I did? Is it conveying the message? Do I like the texture of my manatees? Do I like what I did with the water? Is the reflection of the manatees on the water conveying the message? In other words, can you read what I'm doing? Okay, it's not spelled out, but can you read it? So the answer to me is yes. I'm very happy with what I did so far. And the next part of this one, the sequence to this video, is a must watch because it's going to have a lot more of the environmental aspects that I want to convey. So it's a must watch, and I hope to see you then. Thank you so much for watching this video, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye.